What the fuck is this world anymore? No, really, I'm being serious. These past few months have been so bizarre and riddled with stupidity to the point where it's becoming very hard to keep up with every stupid news story that comes out. And I used to be pretty on top of these prior to these very, very weird times for these videos. And now there's just so much that's been going on where I'm like, oh, this would be good, this will be good, this will be good. And it's just so much to the point where if I were to put in every stupid news story that would occur in like each month, this would be like an hour plus long video. So yeah, I'm very thankful I only limit myself to 5 stupid news stories that occurred in the previous month, because otherwise we'd be here all day. And I figured it would be very appropriate to do another installment of stupid news during these times, because we're certainly not living in boring times, but we're definitely living in some very, very, very stupid times that people of the future will look back on and think, wow, holy fuck, these people were dumb as shit. Anyways, without further ado, let's finally begin, shall we? Man arrested after fidget spinner leads to domestic assault. A Beatrice man was arrested early Sunday morning on 2 counts of third-degree domestic assault. Police, received a call at 11:39 p.m. Saturday that a woman had been assaulted in the 400 block of Lincoln Street. Officers arrived on the scene and spoke with alleged aggressor Jeremiah Tart, 37, the female victim, and 4 female juveniles at the residence. Tart denied any assault, telling police he had gotten into a verbal argument with one of the children approximately 2 hours earlier, pertaining to rubbing a fidget spinner on a household animal. The victim told police during the argument regarding the animal, Tart became irate and threw the toy out the window. The victim confronted Tart and responded by throwing his cell phone at her, hitting her in the mouth and causing her lip to swell. The victim and child went outside to find the toy, and upon coming back inside, Tart confronted the victim and headbutted her, followed by shoving her onto a couch, causing her to fall on top of a 5-year-old child in the home. The victim told police that Tart then grabbed her by the back of her neck and pulled her onto the floor and kicked her in the head while wearing steel-toed boots. A 16-year-old juvenile in the home corroborated the story, and the 5-year-old child also provided a verbal statement that aligned with the victim's report. Tart was placed under arrest for third-degree domestic assault, a felony, and transported to the Gage County Jail. After police took Tart to jail, the victim made officers aware of a second incident of domestic violence that allegedly occurred on April 19, 2020, in which Tart kicked the woman in the face and caused bruising. The victim provided a photograph of the injuries and a written statement about the incident. Tart has 3 prior domestic assault convictions. Jesus fucking Christ. Imagine all of that occurring because a child rubbed a fidget spinner on an animal. And I didn't even know people still played with fidget spinners, but I'll get into that after I discuss this story. I am glad that this monster is away from this family because he seemed like an absolute threat to them. I mean, he had the idea in his head to kick one of these people in the head with steel-toed boots. And this isn't the first time he did things like this. As mentioned in the article, there are at least 2 other accounts of domestic assault that went on in this home. So I'm glad this person is finally away from this family. I hope this family moves far the fuck away from this person and never has to deal with them ever again, because no one should ever be subjected to this, especially a 16-year-old and a 5-year-old, especially the 5-year-old, having to witness shit like this going on in their homes. I'm sure they lived in fear every day of this person. And again, I am glad that they are finally away from this person, and this person is away from them. Obviously, if a person has this kind of reaction to a child doing something that, well, a child would do, obviously they are unhinged in some kind of way. Now, I'm not going to armchair diagnose this person, I'd rather not do that, but come on, there's obviously something severely, severely wrong with this person if they're going to rationalize in their mind to beat the ever-loving shit out of a person and kick them in the head with, again, steel-toed boots, which I am sure could have caused some really, really serious injuries to their face if they didn't already. Anyway, I'm also kind of surprised to hear about a story involving a fidget spinner in 2020. I thought those things died out after 2017, so I'm glad I don't feel alone, because I too play with fidget spinners still. I like them. I remember making a video a few years back talking about how much I like fidget spinners, and they help me wind down in certain situations, help me blow off steam in some situations, and hell, they even help me concentrate when making these videos. Sometimes I stutter and meander, and all of the sort in these videos, and sometimes I have to do multiple takes. And sometimes I take out the fidget spinner and spin it while I'm talking, and it helps me focus on what it is I'm talking about. Now, unfortunately, my fidget spinner isn't here in my room, so I can't, like, put the fidget spinner up to the microphone and start spinning it for all of you to hear, but I am still a fidget spinner owner and a proud player, I guess, if you want to... a proud spinner of fidget spinners, I should say, rather. Anyway, yeah. I still love fidget spinners, and I'm glad there are still some people out there loving fidget spinners, even if most of them are probably little children. Whatever. Toronto man says Canada Post just delivered package he ordered 8 years ago. A Toronto man says Canada Post recently delivered to him a package that he ordered online nearly 8 years ago. After a Canada Post delivery person rang his doorbell on May 6th, Elliot Bernstein said he found a package from the online retailer well.ca sitting on his doorstep. Bernstein said he was initially confused because he hadn't ordered anything from the online commerce site in years. When he opened it, however, it all began to make sense. I opened it, and inside was an invoice from 2012, and it was a tube of Burl cream I ordered in 2012, he told CTVnews.ca during a telephone interview on Tuesday. I started laughing because I thought it was pretty funny that it came 8 years later. At the time of his initial order, Bernstein said he had been living in Ottawa, and the hair cream never arrived at his address there. He said he contacted Well, and they agreed to ship the product again to his home in Toronto because he thought it might be easier. It didn't come again, and I'm like, okay, this isn't worth the headache, so I just forgot about it, he said. Bernstein said he didn't follow up with Canada Post to see if the National Mail operator had received the item for delivery or if there was an accompanying tracking number. He said he was experimenting with different hair products at the time, and the cream was only $5, so he didn't worry about it. In an email to CTV News on Tuesday, a Canada Post spokesperson said they would investigate the delivery further. This is certainly a unique situation, and we can only speculate at this point as to what may have happened, the email read. CTV News also reached out to Well for information on Bernstein's order, but did not hear back by the time of publication. While Bernstein found humor in the late delivery and even shared a photo of the 2012 invoice on Reddit, he said that the hair cream itself no longer appears to be usable. When I opened it, it was a bright yellow, and I googled it. I've never used it before. It seemed like it was supposed to be white, so I didn't try it, he explained. Okay, how in the hell does this happen? I mean, when I first read this story, I was just so perplexed because I was like, how can an order take 8 years to finally deliver? Like, was it just sitting somewhere and someone was like, oh yeah, someone ordered this hair cream back in 2012. Let's finally give them their $5 hair cream that I'm sure they're so distraught over the fact that they never received. Like, let's put this into perspective. I just finished my second semester of college. He ordered this hair cream when I was still in elementary school. That's how far back we're going. Wow, and I thought my Led Zeppelin face mask, which looks awesome by the way, taking a month to finally deliver to my home was frustrating. It kept saying, oh, this is lost, you're not going to get it, and then it said, oh, it's going to come on this date, and then it said again, it's lost, you're not going to get it, and I'm like, okay, which is it? Am I going to get this or not? And then I finally lost hope that I probably wasn't going to get it because it officially said, oh, it's lost, and it never said again that I was going to get it at a set date. And then it came. It came. Well, at the very least, it didn't take nearly a decade to finally arrive. I mean, again, like, how does this happen? Who, like, decided to finally ship this out 8 years later? And it's not like this is like a new... This is a new version of the cream. It's the same cream he ordered 8 years ago because he said it went bad. It's probably like, what, 8 years expired at this point? Wow. Again, this is a story that just fascinates me to no end because this is something that I never heard about before. I've heard of items getting lost. I've heard of people getting their items like a few weeks or even a month or even a few months after like their product is expected to arrive, but I've never heard it taking nearly 10 years for a product to finally arrive. Again, he ordered this when I was still in elementary school, and now I am approaching my third semester of college. Well, at least you could keep it as a souvenir, right? Trump accuses Twitter of election interference after it adds fact-check warning to his tweets. For the first time, Twitter has flagged some of President Donald Trump's tweets with a fact-check warning. On Tuesday, Twitter added a warning phrase to two Trump tweets that called mail-in ballots quote-unquote fraudulent, and predicted that mailboxes will be robbed, among other things. Under the tweets, there is now a link reading, "Get the facts about mail-in ballots," that guides users to a Twitter Moments page with fact checks and news stories about Trump's unsubstantiated claims. Until now, the president has simply blown past Twitter's half-hearted attempts to enforce rules to promote civility and healthy conversation on its most prominent user. Trump frequently amplifies misinformation, spreads abuse, and uses his pulpit to personally attack private citizens and public figures alike, all forbidden under Twitter's official rules. In a statement, Twitter said Trump's vote-by-mail tweets contain potentially misleading information about voting processes and have been labeled to provide additional context around mail-in ballots. Trump has never previously faced Twitter sanctions on his account. The husband of a woman who died by accident 2 decades ago in an office of then GOP Rep. Joe Scarborough recently demanded that Twitter remove the president's baseless tweets, suggesting that Scarborough, now a fierce Trump critic, killed her. Twitter issued a statement expressing its regret to the husband, but so far has taken no action on those tweets. Over the weekend, the president issued several tweets calling into question the legality of mail-in ballots. The storm of tweets followed Facebook and Twitter posts from Trump last week that wrongly claimed Michigan's Secretary of State mailed ballots to 7.7 million registered voters. Trump later deleted the tweet and posted an edited version that still threatened to hold up federal funds. Twitter policy forbids sharing false or misleading information intended to intimidate or dissuade people from participating in an election or other civic processes. While it has previously flagged tweets conveying misinformation about the COVID-19 pandemic, it has never before put warnings on tweets for any other reason. Trump replied on Twitter, accusing the platform of interfering in the 2020 presidential election and insisting that, as president, I will not allow this to happen. He also claimed Twitter was stifling free speech, although the platform is still allowing his tweets to be seen. So basically, President Shit for Brains is angry that he was corrected on Twitter. He's angry that some fact checks were put under his tweets because he spreaded false information in said tweets. And now he's saying, oh, my freedom of speech is stifled. I notice that he cares about this more than, like, the 100,000 people who died of COVID, more than, George Floyd's death, more than, issues that are actually, relevant and issues that actually matter in this country and affect many, many, many civilians in this country. No, it's Twitter, quote-unquote, stifling his free speech that really matters, even though you can still see these fucking tweets, you can still reply to these tweets, you can still like these tweets. All they have is a little fact-check link under them, and that's enough to make them go into fucking tantrum mode, and it is so sad, and it is so embarrassing to have a president like this, to live in a country that has a president with the fucking maturity of a 5-year-old. And shortly after this, Trump was tweeting on Twitter, revoke 230. What is 230? Well, 230 is part of the Communications Decency Act, which basically protects websites like YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and other social media websites of the sort. And basically, it just views them as distributors of content, and they're not actually really responsible of what is put on their websites. Like, say someone uploads a full movie onto YouTube. YouTube isn't exactly responsible for that because an individual user decided to upload a full movie onto YouTube, and YouTube can't be sued for that because, again, it's not like YouTube prides itself as hosting illegal content like full movies that may still be in theaters. So they can't be sued for that so long as they put in rules in their terms of service to not put up copywritten content like that. And Trump is now threatening to remove this portion of this act that protects these kind of websites from being sued to oblivion, and invariably this destroys the internet and destroys free speech on the internet as we know it. So basically, Trump is one of the most anti-freedom of speech presidents in modern history, pretty much, if he's willing to do this and, pretty much destroy free speech on the internet, because it's going to destroy the websites that host the content that people upload onto. Like, how do you not get this? And yet conservatives praise him, say, yeah, Donald, thank you. You actually care about our freedom of speech on the internet. No, he doesn't. He only cares about the fact that he was fact-checked on Twitter. He's mad about it. And now he wants to pretty much destroy the internet because he's angry that, he put out misinformation and was actually held to task for putting out misinformation. He pretty much wants to be able to say whatever the fuck he wants without any consequences whatsoever, and is willing to destroy the internet if it means that he gets to say whatever he wants with, like, no pushback at all and with no corrections at all. Again, like, he's not the freedom of speech guy that you think he is, but yet you still want to praise him. Yeah, that makes a whole bunch of sense. So if you actually give a fuck about freedom of speech on the internet like you claim to, you would oppose this. But no, you don't, so you actually really don't care about freedom of speech on the internet, or at the very least don't care about freedom of speech when it's not, the side of the political aisle that you align with. Anyway, freedom of speech does not equal freedom from consequences, and I really wish more people would learn this and not act like petulant little children whenever they're called out for whatever they say. But trying to get through to Trump supporters is like talking to a brick wall, so why am I even bothering? Let's just move on to the next story. Elon Musk defies orders and reopens Tesla's California plant. On Monday, the company's chief executive Elon Musk tweeted that production had restarted, and he would be on the line with everyone else. U.S. states and local governments are trying to determine the best way to open up after lockdown. Mr. Musk previously vowed to move the firm's headquarters out of California if the plant was not allowed to reopen. He has been vocal about the lockdown orders in recent weeks. Mr. Musk recently celebrated plans to relax restrictions across the country, writing on Twitter, "Free America now!" He has also dismissed dumb, quote-unquote, concerns about the coronavirus. While the state has eased restrictions to allow manufacturing, Alameda County, where the Fremont plant is located, has not. The town is about 1 hour south of San Francisco. So on Saturday, Elon Musk said that Tesla has filed a lawsuit against the county, asking a court to remove the order that prevents the car maker from resuming production. Rather than wait for a ruling, Mr. Musk announced on Twitter on Monday that the plant would reopen. I don't get the adoration that so many idiots have for Elon Musk. Okay, that's partially a lie. I kinda liked Elon Musk at one point. I thought Tesla was a cool company that made really cool things, like that car thing that went into space a few years back. I really liked that, but ever since I embraced leftism more, I've grown to hate CEOs quite a lot. And Elon Musk is, of course, among one of them, and Elon Musk is one that I hate a fuck ton, because so many people love him. So many people think he's so quirky and relatable because he posts things that only the cool kids who are in touch with online culture would know. He's down to earth, he's so cool, he's so hip. There's a certain adoration for Elon Musk that many other CEOs don't have. It's all a facade. This man doesn't give a fuck about anything or anyone aside from, people who are in his rich elite bubble, and he doesn't care about anything aside from the profits that he makes. He doesn't give a fuck about the health and safety of his workers at his plants. He wants to reopen this plant so he can continue to make profit, so he can continue to make more and more money. He doesn't care if his workers may get sick and die. Well, that's just the price they pay, because they have to work so their CEO can continue to make a profit. Again, he doesn't give a fuck about his workers. He doesn't care about anyone in the classes below him. He only cares about his rich elite friends, his rich elite family, and that's about it. I mean, he fucking grew up in apartheid Africa, and his family profited off of apartheid. This man has been a piece of shit his whole life, and I am so glad that more and more people are starting to wake up to this because of his blatant fucking disregard for the health and safety of his workers. Oh, just keep working. I don't care if you get sick and die. All I care about is the profit that I make, and if I'm not making a profit because we kind of have to lock down for the health and safety of those who may be immunocompromised or are elderly, people who are in the prime target group of people who get this the worst and the most people who die by far from COVID. Fuck them, whatever, they don't matter. All that matters is my own money and my own profit. Fuck Elon Musk and fuck CEOs in general. Again, it's just so depressing that so many people love this guy. Again, more people are starting to wake up, realize that this guy isn't so great. In fact, actually, they're realizing that this guy is a huge, gigantic piece of shit who is a typical capitalist fucking monster. But there's still that huge group of people who love him and adore him and probably will never snap out of it. Oh, he posts memes on Twitter, so that must mean he's cool and down to earth. right? No. He's just trying to make himself seem as cool and nice as possible so you won't see him for the fuck he really is. And I'm glad more and more people are starting to realize who the fuck he really is. Fuck Elon Musk and fuck anyone who still likes the dude. Biden regrets saying black voters considering Trump ain't black. Democratic White House candidate Joe Biden is in damage limitation mode after saying African Americans ain't black, quote-unquote, if they even consider voting for President Donald Trump over him. Gaffe-prone Mr. Biden made the remark in an interview on Friday with a prominent black radio host, Charlemagne the God, about his outreach to black voters. Mr. Biden later expressed regret for the cavalier comment. Throughout the 18-minute interview, Mr. Biden, 77, stressed his long-standing ties to the black community, noting his overwhelming win this year in South Carolina's presidential primary, a state where the Democratic electorate is more than 60% African American. I won every single county. I won the largest share of the black vote that anybody had, including Barack, he said of President Barack Obama, the country's first African American president, who picked Mr. Biden as his running mate. The presumptive nominee for November's election also guaranteed that several black women were being considered to serve as his vice president. He has already committed to selecting a woman to join him on his Democratic ticket. Toward the end of the interview, a campaign aide interrupted to say former vice president was out of time. When an aide for Mr. Biden tried to end the interview, Charlemagne protested, saying, "You can't do that to black media. I do that to white media and black media," Mr. Biden replied, adding that his wife was waiting to use their home broadcast studio. Charlemagne urged Mr. Biden to return for another interview, saying he had more questions. "If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black," Mr. Biden responded. Biden campaign advisor Simone Sanders defended the comments on Friday, saying they were made in jest, quote-unquote. Let's be clear about what the VP was saying. He was making the distinction that he would put his record with the African-American community up against Trump's any day, period. Mr. Biden scrambled to make amends on a call later to black business leaders. "I should have never been so cavalier," he said. "I've never, ever taken the African-American community for granted." He added, "I shouldn't have been such a wise guy." He continued, "No one should have to vote for any party based on their race, their religion, their background. And this is who the DNC wants me to vote for." Alright, I've made my thoughts on Joe Biden more than clear. I made 2 full videos about my distaste for the guy. He's an old racist white man. Almost certainly a rapist, a lot of really horrible things, a sexist, his crime bill, him wanting to keep African-American children back in the 70s segregated, all terrible, terrible things that I've talked about in length in both of those videos. But I just want to say, the fact that the DNC wants me to vote for this dude, trying to paint him as some kind of, hope, some kind of, dramatic change away from Trump, when in reality he ain't so much different. I mean, I've heard the arguments for voting for Joe Biden: harm reduction, the Supreme Court having a bunch of old fucks in there who are probably going to die soon, and if Biden were president, we could instill a bunch of Democratic figures in the Supreme Court. But even if I do cave in and vote for Biden, which I've heard a lot of vote blue no matter who arguments, so I can't say I'm completely averse to voting for Biden these days, but still, even if I do cave in and vote for Biden, which I have no clue if I will even do, but still, there's still going to be a taste of disgust in my mouth because I'm voting for an old racist white dude who ain't so much a far cry away from Trump. On top of that, the guy is legitimately losing his mind too. I mean, look at all the copious amount of gaffes that have been caught on film this past year alone. I mean, I know all old people suffer some kind of decline to an extent, but look at Biden. He has such a hard case of it that you can't just say, well, all old people suffer mental decline, so you can't really impugn Biden for that. Look at Biden. His case is just so fucking bad. I mean, I don't know how anyone can conceivably defend Biden. I know some people can conceivably defend voting for him, but just Biden himself, racist old man, rapist, sexist, he's pretty much the whole package. I really don't know what else to say about Biden at this point. Will I vote for him? I have no clue. There's still an 85% chance that I won't vote for him, but there's still that little sliver there's still that little teeny tiny chance that I may actually hold my nose and vote for Biden just because of how horrid Trump has been dealing with COVID, the protests, the whole George Floyd situation. All of that has made me just kind of listen a little bit more to some vote blue no matter who talking points. But still, the fact that we're having old sexist rapist racist dementia patient versus old sexist rapist racist dementia patient just shows how in the shitter this country is, and just further reinforces my distaste for this two-party system. Oh, it's only Democrat and Republican you can really vote for. I mean, there's still third party. There's still other parties besides the two behemoths, the Republican and Democrat party, but still, like, the only two viable options are the Democrat and Republican Party, and they ain't too different from each other, folks. They both serve corporations and want to uphold capitalism more than they care about their own citizens. It's just that one party is a little bit more mask off about it than the other. That's really the difference. So, politics in this country is just so fucking broken, and it just, again, makes me just hate this country even more, and the fact that so many people are just complacent with this, just fine with the way things are in this country, fine with this two-party fucking nightmare we live under. Just makes me not have much hope for the future of this country, and makes me just think that, things aren't going to fundamentally change. People are fine with the status quo. People defend the status quo, even though the status quo fucks them over, because they're taught to love the status quo and think there is no other way a country should be run. That's not the way that their own country is being run currently, so what's really the point in trying to get through to these people? Like, what's the point in engaging in conversation with these people? Their minds are not going to be changed, so you're really just going to be wasting time arguing with these people, and that's something I've learned, and that's something I'm not really going to be engaging in anymore. Of course, I'm still going to make videos expressing my distaste for how things are, but when it comes to just engaging with people who are fine with the way the system is set up, I am done trying to talk to these people. I am done trying to reason with these people, and you should really be the same, because really there's nothing you can say to get through to these kind of people. Nothing at all. And so that concludes the May 2020 edition of Stupid News. If you have a stupid news story that you would like to submit to me and have possibly featured in one of these videos if I find it interesting enough, either hit me up on Twitter or submit it in my Discord server. I have a channel completely dedicated in my Discord server to stupid news stories that people submit on a regular basis, and I contribute to it sometimes too. And trust me, there's plenty good laughing material in that channel. And plenty of material that makes you question whether or not humanity should continue existing in general, but if you find humor in these kind of stories, then yeah, plenty of laughing material in there too. Anyway, I'm gonna go hope and pray that an asteroid kills us all sometime in the near future. That's all the stupid news I had to report on. Bye-bye.